Hi, you guys, and welcome to the Unstoppable Women's Network. I am your host, Dr. D, and this is a safe and supportive space for all women identifying individuals who are looking for support, guidance, tools, tips, and motivation to feel empowered to be your most unstoppable self in all aspects of your life. We are going to be talking today with Miss Nikki. She is a wellness educator who is going to give us some tips and tools and some insight into her life as a woman of color who is working in the education system with Black and Brown children. And she uses essential oils to improve immune systems and educate other individuals on how they can live their healthiest and best lives. So we're going to go ahead and bring Miss Nikki in and get this discussion started. Hey, Nikki.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Thanks. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Yes, can't complain. Can't complain
Awesome.
at all.
So I was just telling everyone how you are the wellness educator and you educate individuals how they can use essential oils to feel holistically better. And so why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about what you do, who you are, and what you're going to talk about with us today?
Yeah, so hey everybody, I'm Nikki and I am a mum of two. My eldest is 6 and my youngest is 2 years old. And I'm also a PE teacher to students aged 11 to 16. And primarily those children or students have ADHD, autism or mild mental health. And my days can be quite challenging but very rewarding. And I'm a PE teacher, and I've been doing that for many years. I've been doing it working with young people for well over 17 years. And what got me into being like wellness and teaching people about wellness is I've always been into wellness. I've always chosen plant-based and natural products over synthetic. And when I was introduced to doTERRA essential oils, I've always been an essential oil user. But when I discovered doTERRA's essential oils, I realized the potency of them and the purity of them. And it just made me want to share them amongst everybody, everybody that I knew, especially given because of the results that we received with having to use them for my son when he was 2. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. So you talked about, you are a wellness educator, and so you educate individuals on how they can use essential oils themselves. What would you say is like the most common question that's asked of you by people who are getting into or rediscovering essential oil use?
Which oil should I start with? And I'm like, it really depends. Like, uh,
Hmm.
do you have sinus issues? Do you suffer from migraines? Especially with women, women really want to know what they can use for cramps and
Mm.
what they can use for their cycle. And just a hormone balance, really. And another common one is what they can use for stress and anxiety. Is there anything that I could use for stress and anxiety or digestive support? Yeah, and there's
Okay.
always an answer. My answer is there's yes. There's an oil for everything. Because there
Okay.
is. Yeah.
What is one of the most common oils used for stress and anxiety and depression? Like what is something that you recommend for people to use for those symptoms?
So if there's single oils, which we commonly know as like lemon, lavender, peppermint, and so forth, and then there's oil blends, and then there's oil
Mm.
blends in which you can buy, and then there's oil blends of which you can do yourself. And the common oil that you can use for stress and anxiety is lavender. Now, lavender, as we know, is your common calming oil. Not only does it help with sleep and a restful night's sleep, but it really does help bring about calmness and helps to reduce the excess stress levels that you may be feeling any at one time.
Right.
And the best way to really use essential oils for especially stress or any other emotional sort of challenge is aromatically. So you would either rub it in the palms of your hands, and inhale deeply from a cupped hands, or you can use something like a diffuser. And for young children, I would recommend like a handkerchief or like a
Mm-hmm.
comforter, you know, a teddy or something, or blankie or something that you can put a few drops on, and then they could use that as their comforter. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I am definitely going to start to adapt that into my daily practice is putting lavender because having a newborn in the home, as you know, can be very stressful. So,
Yes.
and especially when you're working on like zero sleep. So,
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to try to start implementing some lavender in my life because I feel like that'll make like a world of difference.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Awesome.
But what you'll find with some oils is, some oils work better for others, for, you know, for some
Mhm.
than for others. And the great thing about the essential oils is there's always something else that you can try. So for
Mm,
instance, lavender works really well on my son. You know, I could put
mhm.
lavender in the bedroom, and you know he'll go to sleep quite quickly. As for my
Wow.
daughter, the 2-year old, we put lavender on and she's up for the night. So
Really?
yes, so I know that for her, we keep her well away from lavender, especially when it comes to nighttime. But there's
Right.
something else that I use, like Roman chamomile for her, and something called vetiver as well, which is better for her in terms of getting her to sleep. So the great thing about essential oils is that there is something for everybody. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. And so it's kind of like it's not a one shoe fits all. It's whatever your body responds to is what's best for you. Okay. I love that. Awesome. It's very individual based.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So you said you got into essential oils. So you've always kind of been using essential oils, but you really got into them with your son.
Yeah, so I've always used essential oils. You know, I'm sure everybody can sort of resonate with the ceramic holder with the candle at the bottom and the oils at the top. I've always used, you know, used them from when I was, you know, living at home with my parents. But
Hmm.
what got me into doTERRA essential oils is at the time when my son was 2, he had chronic constipation, and we used various things like prune juice, coconut oil. We used quite a few things, you know, raw orange juice and things like that. And
Mm,
some things worked better than others, but we needed something that was going to last and work.
right.
You know, have some sort of longevity. Anyway, somebody had given me a sample of doTERRA's, one of doTERRA's essential oils to use on him. He was obviously 2 at the time, so we used it in and around his belly button, and then we rubbed it on the soles of his feet. And I was really surprised by the results that we got from just that really small sample, and I was just taken away. And from then, he never had any issues, digestive issues from that again. Obviously, we
Right.
changed a few things like his dietary, you know, things, and sort of the habits and you know things that we were doing we had to change, but I found that the results from using that small sample was just absolutely incredible. And then from then, I just wanted to share that with everybody. And then
Right.
fast forward, we had my daughter a couple of years ago. She was young, and my son was going to school because he just started primary school. We needed to know that was something that we could use in the home that could protect her, because she was only 4 months at the time, and
Mhm.
also protect him and boost their immune system at the same time as he started school. And that's when I really started to share the benefits of the essential oils and how you can use them for, you know, your emotional and your physical development for the whole family. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love the idea of using the essential oils as an immune booster. 'Cause I know, like, my partner and I, we've tried as much as we can, right, to gear toward holistic measures in protecting us, protecting our daughter, because she's only 8 months. And actually not even 8 months yet. She'll be 8 months this week. But, she's so little. And just watching her get those shots it's excruciating to see her in that much pain, and we don't really know what chemicals and what substances they're pumping into our children's bodies when they're doing these shots. And I didn't know enough, or neither one of us knew enough really about you know shot vaccinations versus non-vaccinations. And so we were both vaccinated, and so we figured, hey, our parents did it to us, why not do it for our daughter? um, but I love hearing that there's an alternative that's a health that can work and that is healthy and that's more natural and holistic, because I like I said, we didn't have that option. We didn't know enough about it to exercise that idea. And that's something I think we really would have benefited from knowing, because then we would have been able to make a more informed decision about if we wanted to vaccinate her versus not, knowing that there was a healthy alternative out there. So like, what can you say about, because your daughter's 2 now, right? So she's like interacting with the public and everything. Have
Yeah.
you gotten her vaccinated at all?
No, so I decided with my daughter we wasn't going to vaccinate her whatsoever. I did with my son, and
Hmm.
before I had him, same like you, do I, don't I, what's right, what's wrong, you research, you probably stress yourself out with all the research of what people say and things like that. And
Hmm.
just like you, we made the decision just to go ahead and do it, because the, the pressures that, the health
Hmm.
they put on you, you
Hmm.
would rather, they'd say things like you would rather than be vaccinated with this than them to actually, and to be protected from X, Y, and
Right.
Z condition than them to actually have it. And then
Right.
being a mom, fresh mom, and you hear things like that, you obviously, as a parent, you don't want your child sick in any kind of way, and you'll do your best to protect and look after your children as much as you can.
Right.
And what I did is I just decided, I thought, okay, I just decided that I'd go ahead and do it. But it didn't sit right with me. It just
Hmm.
still didn't sit right with me in my core. And I vaccinated my son up until he was about 1, and then there was one particular vaccination that he got that it kept reoccurring, so like the scar kept coming back like 6 to 8. And I
Wow.
just said, you know what, that's it. It was obvious that his body was fighting
Hmm.
the substance or whatever was in his system. And from that I
Right.
just said, okay, no more, we're not doing this anymore. And that's when I really started looking into wellness and other natural alternatives that we can do to really help boost his immune system and his general health. So then by the time I had my daughter, for maybe 5 years down the line, I was
Hmm.
adamant it wasn't going to happen. So, and that was a choice, that I had made. My partner was still a little bit on the fence,
Hmm.
thinking that she should have some sort of protection. And I just stuck to my guns and just said, no, we're not doing it. And that's just
Hmm.
that. So whoever wants to complain about it, they can complain about it.
I love that. Do what you want, everybody else be damned. I love it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's exactly it.
I think that's the epitome of like, if you know differently, you do differently. Because like you said, you had to go through it in order to realize that that wasn't the route that was best or ideal for you and your family. And I think that's awesome.
There's
So,
nothing worse than making a decision and your spirit, your core still says, no, that didn't fit right.
right.
And
And then
that's what I went with.
yeah, and it also like, I think like you said, being a new mom, a lot of decisions that you make are out of fear or pressure from like other, like it's usually other moms who are like
Yeah,
giving you the
yeah,
fear and pressure. So it's like,
yeah,
well, I have to like do these things in order to be the best mom. So
yeah.
you just kind of fall into old habits, whether they're good or not. You just kind of fall into them,
That's right.
um, and you kind of like veer away from your own maternal instinct because you're trying so hard to um fit into the masses, and that's not always best for your kid. Like, it's your kid, it's not everyone else's kid.
Right, right. That's it.
That's
And
awesome.
so like I said, by the time she came along, my feet were down. A no was a no. So
I love that. I'm getting more into my group. I am a very I don't like the word stubborn. I'm a very opinionated individual myself, and so I'm becoming more so of that as a mom, and like kind of like digging my heels in when it comes to certain things about what I do and do not want for her. And not everyone always agrees with your decision as a parent. It's like, okay, well, you raise your kids, I'll raise mine.
there you go. And it's not like we're not open to learning. We're
Right,
open to
right.
learning. We're open to, uh, you know, we're learning and we'll take on advice and we'll try things, whatever. But if something in your core says no, then it's no. And if it works out that we were wrong and then we need to sort of budge a little bit, then we're
Then
open
we
to doing that
can.
as well. Right.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it.
Don't worry, I'm a
Oh,
Taurian. I'm the bull. I am stubborn as they come, so I know exactly what
yay. I am an Aquarius and we are, very
to do.
stuck in our way sometimes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so you told us a little bit about how you use the essential oils with your kiddos, and then you also told us like um essential oils that or how you got into essential oils. Did we talk about your work, like what the work that you're doing now, and like how you're using this platform to educate and advocate for individuals?
Yeah, so what I do is, like I said before, a lot of the students I work with have ADHD or autism or
Mhm.
just mild mental health, or they just have some really serious life challenges. A lot of my
Mhm.
students are in care, or they're fostered out to other families, and life is just really challenging for them. And we live in a part of London where some children are really dealing with, severe poverty. So,
Mm.
if they don't come to school and eat, then they just don't eat. And, it's just one of the facts that we have at the moment in our given time. And, life is challenging for them, and they're not in a place of where they can really, they're not even in control of being able to change certain things for themselves. Or sometimes they're not even in a place where they can articulate what's really going on with them.
Mhm.
So what I'd like to do in my classroom is have my diffuser. And what I was saying is, essential oils aren't the answer to everything. That, our bodies does its best to stay at balance in every which way. And the great
Mhm.
thing about essential oils and plant-based and just natural remedies is that it assists the body to do what the body knows best to do, and
Hmm.
that's all it is. And so what I like to do in my classroom is I have my diffuser, and what the essential oils do is just help support my students mentally and emotionally whilst they're in my classroom. So if they're having a little bit of a tender moment, a little bit of a really vulnerable time, or some challenges that they're going through, the essential oils, what that does is helps them puts them in a calm place for a start. So then
Mhm.
they are able to either focus and get some work done, or be in a place where they'd be able to put some pieces together with whatever was going on with them, or put them in a
Mhm.
place where they're able to sort of just articulate with me whatever they're feeling at any given time. We all, as adults, we know what stress feels like, and we all
Right.
know what it does to our bodies, whether we get migraines, whether we break
Right.
out, whether we lose our appetite or overeat, whatever. But it's the
Mhm.
same for young people. And we have our ways that we, you know, control stress, or we don't, or we either do or we don't. But for most young people, they aren't developed enough to be able to find those techniques for themselves to help them
Right.
be put in a place where they can really manage their own emotions on top of hormones and all the other stuff that goes on for teenagers.
Right. The life of being a child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With all the external environment, family issues and
Mm.
all the other things that are
Yes.
put on top of them as well. And I've got to say, I can't. Some of the stuff that happens in my everyday at work with the stuff that goes on with them, I can't comprehend what they're going through. I didn't grow
Mhm.
up like them. I wasn't brought up with some of the issues that they have, like being
Right.
in care or whatever. So some things I can't comprehend. However, I can empathize and I can be there to listen, and I can help them. I can help them be put in a place where they can help themselves, and
Mhm.
that's all I'm there to do. So yeah. So I use
Wow.
them in
That
my diffuser and things like that, and it just brings about peace and balance and things like that. So yeah, yeah, it's
that's
wonderful.
awesome.
Yeah,
I just feel like that's such a you're creating such a supportive environment where they can heal and be seen, because I think a lot of the times when children are distributing like unwanted behaviors, they get labeled as like the problem child, or the aggressive child, or and people kind of like push them to the side and they don't get seen, and so they're getting like passed over at home, they're getting passed over at school, and then no one's really addressing the issue. And so you're creating this space where they're able to feel, heard and feel safe and be able to just breathe essentially. And I think that's so empowering. And the therapist in me wonders, like, utilizing therapeutic measures as well as essential oils, how much more growth we will be able to produce in working with kiddos if they're having this added layer of support and healing in the therapeutic space.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, with that being said, there are techniques that can be used to help them bring
Hmm.
about more of a positive mindset. And, like I said before, we've all been in a place where we've been stressed or been in an uncomfortable emotional place,
Right.
whether it's grief, whether it's stress, whether it's worry, whatever it may be. And we all know it's not a nice feeling. It's not a nice place to be in, that, what I call that sludge.
Hmm.
And as well, what's worse is being told what to do. You should do that, or you should, So what I try to do is, again, create that environment to help them put the pieces together. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, it's their lives that they're living. When they leave me, 2:30 in the afternoon, they've got the rest of their life, to live on their own. So again, it's
Right.
just helping them put those techniques together. And there is one particular technique that I love, and it's something called aromatic anchoring. And that
Mm.
is anchoring new emotions, and mindsets with the use of smell. And obviously, because I use essential oils, we use essential oils with that. And that is training the mind to think more positively with the use of a smell. So you anchor an emotion or a thought, positive mindset or emotion, to a particular smell. And I mean, we do this all the time. We do it all the
Hmm.
time, unconsciously. There's a smell that would always take us back to a good or bad memory,
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly
Yeah.
what I thought about when you were saying that. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And we've done this unconsciously for quite for all our lives. And
Hmm.
what my smell is peppermint. It always reminds me of my granny who used to give us, peppermint when we was at
Oh,
church, to make sure that that we were well behaved at church, just to make sure that we kept quiet. So every
yes.
time I smell peppermint or get little peppermint sweets, she always comes to mind. But that was done
Hmm.
unconsciously. Smell is one of the most underrated senses that we have. So
Mm.
if we can do that purposefully, it's amazing then what we can create with just smell and changing our mindset and changing our thought pattern. It's amazing then what can come from that. Yeah, so that is definitely one of the techniques that I definitely use in the classroom. Yeah,
Aromatic anchoring.
yeah, yeah.
I love that. Oh my God, I've never heard that before. That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So what that does is, what you do is you take a smell. So for mine, when I'd lost my father, I had my daughter in the June 2018, and then 8 weeks down the line, then my dad passed away. So then at that time, it
Oh,
was
that's
very, very
okay.
stressful, and
Yeah.
you know, dealing with emotions and just having a baby and being a mum again, but with two small ones, and and there was a lot. There was just so many things going on, and then you always wanted to show up as being the best all the time, but then sometimes you're just not that at the time. And
Hmm.
what I did was I used bergamot, and I put a couple drops in the palm of my hands. I would inhale it, and then I would think of an emotion that I would rather, instead of that, the grief or the stressed feeling, and I would recite the words "all is well," and I
Hmm.
kept doing that over a number of days. So every time now, when I smell bergamot, the first thing that comes to my mind is "all is well," and then I get that sense of peace and that sense of calm, that
Wow.
everything is okay. And that is just from one oil, and I've done the same technique with my students, and it's
Hmm.
powerful. It's absolutely powerful.
Wow, that is amazing. So, like, when I think of aromatic anchoring, I think of two things in therapy that I've adopted into my coaching practice, which is called grounding and thoughtful retargeting. And so, grounding, making some, bringing someone back to reality, back to their present space, and making them feel safe and comfortable, and guiding them through that transition. And then the cognitive retargeting is just, taking a memory and reassociating it with a positive memory, so that you can empower them to remove the trauma, and to take power over that thought process. And so I think that if you were to combine the two together, it would I get goosebumps just thinking
I
about
can't
how
wait for you to use it and you
impactful.
tell me how it goes, because I'm telling you, it's absolutely powerful. I can't explain it anymore. But when you do use it, let me be the first person to know how that
I
goes.
absolutely will, and I'm gonna have to give you credit, of course, because you introduced me to the concept. But like I'm thinking about, I have clients that come to mind that I'm like, oh my god, like this would be amazing for
Yeah,
just to to retarget that traumatic experience, and then to be able to adapt a new thought or a new concept to it, and being able to offer like peace when you smell something that takes you back. That is beautiful. It's blissful.
yeah, 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 most definitely. Most
That
definitely.
is amazing. Okay. And so talk to me a little bit about how you use the essential oils. So you talk about how you use them at work with the kiddos. You talk about how you use them with your family. How do you use them like every day to like keep Nikki going?
Sane. So my main way is in my diffuser. So there's not
Uh-huh.
a day that I don't have my diffuser on, and it really depends on what I'm feeling. So if I'm feeling like I've got a little bit of brain fog and I've got some work that I really need to get on and do, I've got a deadline I've got to meet, there's like a combination that I'd put in my diffuser. So that's like peppermint and a little bit of wild orange, and it really helps to open up the airways. It gets you, going. I call it like the focus blend, and it really helps, to get me going, gets the people, the family up and out in the morning, and it's like a really invigorating blend. So that my diffuser is my best source. I think I've got probably, well, I know that I have more diffusers than I have rooms, and each room has a diffuser. So, and I'm always
I
buying
love
more
it.
just in case the other one breaks down, because they're always on. And then there's another one that I use is like roller bottles. Now, what roller bottles are, they're just either they come in like either 10 or 5 ml bottles that have got like a little roller ball at the top, and you can just apply them directly onto the skin. They're already blended with fractionated coconut oil, which means that they're diluted, so you can apply them directly on the skin. And sometimes I just use them as a top up as and when I need them. So yeah, if I'm feeling a little bit
Wow.
stressed, or if I'm a little bit tired and need to, wake up a little bit, I will draw for whatever oil that I need at the time. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so you use them topically and aromatically in your diffuser.
That's how I use them every day. Yeah. And then there's another
Awesome.
way which you can use internally. Now, I'm only really talking about doTERRA essential oils for this, and that is because of
Hmm.
their purity and their potency. And you can test; they've been tested for their purity as well, that to ensure that there's no
Hmm.
other synthetics or chemicals or anything like that in them. And
Right.
because of their purity, they also come onto the food grade category as well. Hence, why you can
Hmm.
take them internally. I can't say anything about any other essential oil, but I don't know anything about them. But if the people are using essential oils, to really check if they can be taken internally. Majority of the oils on the market do say on the bottles that they cannot be, and that's because they've been diluted with other things, other harmful synthetics. Hence, why you cannot take them internally. However, with doTERRAs, I like to put them in my teas. I like to put them in my smoothies. My son doesn't like plain water, so we,
Hmm.
put a few drops of wild orange or grapefruit or whatever it may be into his water, and he'll be happy to drink it. And it all really depends on the ailment. It could be, you've got some digestive issues, or
Right.
you've got, excess sugar in your system. So it all really depends on which oils you may use to help with that condition that's at the time. And that's the reason why I use doTERRA. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I don't think I've ever heard of the Terra oil until you mentioned it, so I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, yeah, please do.
Okay. Awesome. So I think you have given us lots and lots of like useful information, and I am super excited to implement them in my own life and in my practice. So do you want to share with us a little bit about, where people can find you and, where you're like what events you have coming up, what you have coming up next? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Right, so where people can find me, I'm really active on Instagram and under Elemental Gifts, and that's gifts with a Z at the end. And people can find me there. I've got quite a few resources and free videos and tips that they can log on to, even if you're like new to essential oils or you've been using them for a little while. Every Sunday I do something called Shout Out Sunday, getting to know your oils, and then I randomly pick some oils to talk about and just to give some tips on how to use them and the benefits of them. So again, this is for anybody who is new or people who have been using essential oils. So it's just like continued education, really. And then my classes are all online, which really helps for me because obviously my home life commitments. But with my classes, I've got quite a few. And what I really do like to do is I do all family workshops and events, and classes for the entire family so that children and parents can learn together about the benefits of essential oils and how the essential oils are harvested, the benefits of plant-based medicine. And this is all really just to really empower children to take care of
Mm-hmm.
their own emotional and mental and physical development. So a lot of my classes do involve the entire family. And I've got quite a few. We've got an introduction to essential oils. I've a new one that I'll be rolling out later on this month is relieving stress and anxiety in children naturally.
Oh, that's going to be
Yes,
awesome.
yes, which is I find is really important because of obviously the lockdown. Children are going back to school, and I know a few of them,
Yeah.
as much as they're excited, they're also very anxious about going back. And sometimes children are just anxious anyway, and they have stresses anyway because of whatever reason, like I said before, home life or peer pressure or whatever it may be.
Right.
And so that online class really looks into how stress and anxiety affects the body, how it affects the body physically, and the things that we can do to help alleviate some of the symptoms of that. And there's
Perfect.
another class that I do called Empower Me, and Empower Me is really for parents and carers and professionals to learn how to use plant-based and essential oils, remedies and things like that, how they can really help use them to support children with ADHD and autism. And that's what that class is for. And then of course I have to have my naturally caring about how you feel, and that class is really for the mummies. It's an emotional balancing class, again obviously using essential oils and other techniques like aromatic anchoring, and vision boards and things like that, and how you can
Mm.
use these techniques to really help you emotionally. Yeah, because we all go through it, whether we're new mums,
Yes.
whether we've just got the stresses of life, or other commitments that we may have, or we're just
Mm-hmm.
not feeling our best. And emotions are a great tool to let us know whether we're on track,
Mm-hmm.
internally or not. So I use, I call it your emotional guidance system, and how basically you can use essential oils to help support you mentally and physically. So yeah,
Ah,
quite
I
a few
love it.
things. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you have many facets going on, but I think they're all necessary and they're all like really helpful. And because I think once we're able to heal ourselves emotionally and have those tools in place to continue to regulate us, we can be, our best selves, and we can show up the way that we want to in different spaces. And I think that's what this is all about, is, empowering people and giving them the tools that they need to be successful.
And that's it. And that's it. There's nothing worse than not feeling your best. And oh,
Hmm.
there's a baby girl. And the best thing to do is just to literally turn it around so we can be our best. And that's all it is.
Absolutely.
I hear your baby
Okay,
girl
so
saying yes.
yes, she was. She was like, yes, essential oils, because we have a diffuser in her room too,
Oh,
because
good.
we have asthma, so I put the diffuser in there to help, with the asthma and everything. So I
Good,
have not
good.
yet used the essential oils in my diffuser, but I'm going to start doing that thanks to you.
So you're on the right track. So don't worry,
Yes,
you're halfway there.
I am trying. So before we log off, oh, excuse me, what are three keys that you would want to give to the women out there who are wanting to be unstoppable? What are three keys that you can give them to creating success and being unstoppable in their own lives?
Take your time. Just take your time and allow yourself to absorb your now.
Mm-hmm.
So what my problem has been in the past is always thinking about what I don't want rather than the things that I do want, and
Mm-hmm.
not really forgiving myself for not meeting my own targets. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we can really beat ourselves up about that.
Yeah.
So enjoying your now, absorbing your now, and obviously just taking your time. Forgive yourself. Allow yourself to be. Second is think on the things that you want rather than the things that you don't want. I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. Every time you focus on something that you don't want, you just get more of it, and it just upsets you even more. And it's the
Yeah.
last thing that you need. This is just the last thing that you need. And it's not a nice
Right.
feeling. It's just not a nice, being in that sludgy place is just not a nice feeling, in your
Mm-hmm.
head, in your heart. And you just don't feel your best. And the more you worry and the more you think about the things that aren't going so well for you, the less you're able to get to where you actually want to be.
Right.
So turn it on its head. Look forward. Look to the things that you really want, the things that excite you, and the things and the places that you'd rather be
Mm-hmm.
instead of the places where you don't want to be. And lastly, I would say self-care. Self-care is a must. It is a big buzzword at the moment, but it is imperative. I mean, after I lost my father and obviously being a new, mum again, we always end up, unfortunately, with parents, especially mummies, we put ourselves on the bottom of the list of things,
Mm-hmm.
of
Yes,
priorities. And
that
that's
is so
because
true.
we are here of service. We're here to look after others. Other people need us. And so if someone
Mm-hmm.
says to you, girl, go and get your hair done, or at least go and get a pedicure, you book an appointment, you think you feel a little bit guilty for doing so because there's so many other
Yes.
things doing. Other people need you, and you'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
no one's got time for that right now. I've got such and such going on, or whatever. But then you do that for so long, and then you really start to deteriorate. Like
Yeah.
you start to lose who you are, and
Yes.
you start to stop. When you don't look after yourself, whether it's mentally or physically, you pay
Mm-hmm.
for it in the long run. And it doesn't necessarily mean always having to go out and spend money to do self-care. It could be
Mm-hmm.
scheduling time to read 2 pages of a book that's been sitting down on your
Yes.
bookshelf for 2 years. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
could be even just painting your toenails, or actually getting to shave your legs,
Right.
or saying no. The power of saying no, I can't do that just yet. I can maybe, if so, whatever. But the power of saying no and saying yes to yourself. Yeah, yeah. That's something I've had to learn. I've had to learn that the hard way. Yeah. So
Yes,
self-care is a
indeed.
must. It's a definite must.
Absolutely. Okay, so allow yourself, manifest what you want, and pour into yourself. Those are your three keys.
Right, most definitely. Just stay focused on
Okay.
what it is that you want rather than what you don't. And definitely put yourself on that list of priorities too. Most definitely.
Hmm. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nikki, for joining me. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me and share your keys to success from an unstoppable woman like yourself to other unstoppable women out there. And I really enjoyed our discussion today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And let me know how it all
Yes.
goes.
I will. I will definitely let you know, and I'll let everybody else know too, because I'm excited to to introduce the oils to our lifestyle and see what differences it makes.
Yeah, definitely. Okay,
Alrighty.
thanks a lot. Take care now.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.